In this bulletin, baptisms boom in the Australian state of Victoria.
A television show brings people to church in Papua New Guinea.
And a church connects with lonely senior citizens. This is InFocus News. Hello, I'm Casey Warburton, filling in for David Gibbons.
And I'm Tanya Chan. Thanks for joining us. For the third consecutive year, more than 200 people have joined Seventh-day Adventist churches in Victoria. 5 years ago, the average number of people joining the church in any given year was 170. In 2007, numbers almost doubled to 330. And in 2008, an additional 310 people joined Adventist congregations. The Mark Finley Public Lectures series in 2007 provided the initial boost, but the growth trends has continued.
For the Finley program, we've been working a lot on evangelism and lay training, and really the Finley program came along and capped it off.
In the last 2 years, tithe has also increased by about 8% and 11% respectively.
In the face of legal difficulties, a 24-hour Christian radio station in Uruguay has stepped out in faith. It's upgraded its 15-watt FM transmitter to 100 watts, giving it the potential to impact 300,000 listeners with the gospel. Radio Amor, or Love Radio, is one of 50 Christian radio stations that have been established in the country over the last 4 years. A year ago, the Uruguayan government regulated community radio stations under a permit system, but more recently, a new law was drafted prohibiting religious radio broadcasts. Evangelical organization Serving in Mission reports that radio station administrators in the country are now working through legal channels to eliminate the religious discrimination and reclaim approval for Christian stations. People are making their first visits to Seventh-day Adventist churches every week in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. It's because Adventist television has been broadcast free to air in the city. President of the Adventist Church in Central Papua region, Tony Kimo, says that since broadcasts commenced, about 100 people have recently visited Adventist congregations, and some have already been baptized.
Interested intellectual people are coming in, and the baptism class is reduced to 3 months. We give Bible studies to them, and they were converted and baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
A survey on 2,500 people has revealed that nearly half of Australians who do not consider themselves born-again Christians believe Jesus rose from the dead. In addition to belief in the resurrection, half of those surveyed said they believed Jesus was a real historical figure with divine powers. 39% said he was real but without divine powers, and only 11% said Jesus was not a real person. A similar survey in the United States in 2007 found that 75% of non-born-again Christians believe that Jesus literally came back to life. The survey was conducted by the Centre for Public Christianity in Sydney. In Britain, only 12% of Britons feel they belong to a church, compared with 52% in France. The research also found that the United Kingdom has one of the highest rates of fuzzy faith, or people who have an abstract belief in God and a poorly defined loyalty to Christian traditions. The survey, which questioned more than 30,000 people in 22 countries, found only 5 nations, Slovenia, Sweden, Norway, Holland and Belgium, with lower levels of church membership than Britain. The survey results, published in the European Sociological Review, also revealed that there is no evidence to support the idea that the interest of religion resurfaces as people age.
Over 800 young people from South Queensland attending the Adventist Church's Pathfinder Camporee have had their names engraved on a commemorative plaque. The plaque will be placed on the back of the stage of a new amphitheater built at the Somerset Dam campsite. During the Camporee, the new amphitheater was dedicated to God in a special ceremony and officially named Posse's Stage after Bob Possingham in thanks for his many years of service in youth ministry. Held over Easter weekend, the Pathfinder Camporee was themed pressing on together with Jesus. Pastor Tony Knight, Adventist Youth Ministries Director for Australia, was the guest speaker.
Christians displaced in war-torn Sudan are still suffering despite a peace agreement. In an interview with Catholic charity Aid to the Church in Need, Bishop Daniel Adwok-Kerr says the national government continues to discriminate against non-Muslims. In 2005, the Sudanese government and southern-based rebels, the Sudanese People's Liberation Army, put a formal end to 20 years of civil war by signing a peace agreement. But continuing outbreak of conflict in many parts of the south mean initiatives to relocate displaced Christian refugees have been irregular.
The Sydney Adventist Hospital has opened a dedicated day infusion center to cater for patients requiring infusion treatments. The new 11-chair center was funded by donations from private benefactors. It provides infusion therapies for patients with cancer, multiple sclerosis, Crohn's disease, and blood, neurological, and other disorders. The Cancer Institute of New South Wales is forecasting a 30% increase in the incidence of cancer in the next 10 years compared with the last decade. World Vision International, the world's largest Christian humanitarian organization, has appointed a new CEO. Kevin Jenkins, Managing Director of a Canadian investment firm and Vice Chair of the Board of World Vision Canada, will be the organization's new President and Chief Executive Officer. In his new leadership role as the 7th President of World Vision International, Jenkins will oversee the organization's operations in 98 countries, 40,000 staff, and an annual budget of $2.6 billion. He will commence his new role in October 2009.
A service provided by the Nambour Seventh-day Adventist Church in Australia has been connecting with otherwise lonely senior citizens in the area for the last 15 years. The Community Visitors Scheme is part of the federal government's initiative. Through it, a group of 15 volunteers each befriends a lonely residents and visits them at least once a week.
Yeah, it's a way of connecting people who have no family and no friends. They might have died or they might have moved interstate or something like that. So yeah, it's a wonderful scheme to be a part of and involved in.
And if you don't have Hope TV, you can also watch segments of the program online as well. Thanks for watching. I'm Casey Wolverton.
And I'm Tanya Chan. See you again next week.